Welcome back to the Hawkeye Garage. I am Joe. This week we're going to do a little walk around of the GX, give you some of the highlights and explain more exactly why we bought a GX and specifically this GX. Stay tuned. Alright, let's dig right into it. This is a 2007 Lexus GX470 for 4.7 liter V8 under the hood. If you didn't know, underneath this, the chassis, the drivetrain and stuff, is basically a V8 4th gen 4Runner. So, suspension components will cross over. I've already been underneath the front bumper, and it looks like probably my hidden winch mount is gonna go underneath there. So that's really awesome. Really the only major differences between the 4Runner and this has airbags in the back. You can raise and lower them. They're automatic adjusting for weight, which is pretty cool. We're gonna do some mods to that in the future before we go full bore and replace all the suspension. It has shocks and struts that are electronically controlled. You can change the dampening. From what I can tell, they're original shocks on this, and with the dial, I can actually tell the difference. Good or bad, I'm not sure, but I can tell the difference. It has 137,000 miles on it. It's in very good condition, and it is a Texas vehicle up until last year. From what I understand, it has never seen a Midwest winter, and from underneath, I'm inclined to believe that, and I would show you guys with the camera, but you're never going to be able to tell really how clean it is. But all you Midwest guys out there, trust me, this thing is clean. You can still see all the threads on all the bolts and everything. There's not really any surface rust. All the factory undercoating is still there. It's pretty awesome. So there's that. It has had its timing belts done at 111,000 miles, so I'm really good for that water pump and everything. It also came with a huge stack of maintenance records from Lexus, from other auto shops. So apparently I'm the third owner, and the second owner only owned it for like a year. So the paint on this thing it's really dirty right now, but it is awesome. And like I said last week, Stratosphere Mica, that's the name of the paint color. It's the same color as our 4Runner. All right, I'm just gonna sit here and talk to you guys and throw some clips in because my shoulder still really hurts and actually makes it hard to hold the camera even with my good arm. So yes, the paint is the same color as our 4Runner was, and we absolutely loved that color. So that was part of the reason that we bought this. Part of the reason was it was clean Texas vehicle, no rust. I've never had a vehicle that didn't have any rust on it. It has relatively low miles. It's for at least for a Toyota, Lexus, for being 13 years old, having only 137,000 miles on it with maintenance records is awesome. Those timing belt services, because they're belts, they're made of rubber, they're prone to stretching and cracking. They're due for a service right around every 100,000 miles is what Toyota recommends, because it's an interference engine. If one of those timing belts stretches too much or breaks because it's gotten too old, the valves will have a very unpleasant meeting with the piston and the engine will be shot. So that's an important thing to have. It's about a $1,200 service that we don't have to worry about for a very long time. Probably not until after the next owner has it, honestly. What else was the deciding factor? Well, I realized that I told you guys we didn't want a GX. We had went and looked at one in person, and we just were not impressed. It wasn't a very good example of one, and although we liked the platform, we just decided we want a 4Runner. Well, if you've looked for a 4th gen 4Runner in the mid or anywhere really, they're very difficult to find a good one that checks all the boxes. If you want one with lower miles, you're getting up into used 5th gen territory, and yes, a higher mileage 5th gen, but then at that point, everything else is still much newer on it too. So it's kind of a weird thing there. We had found a couple that were slightly less money than this, ticked a lot of the boxes what we wanted for colors and features. Miles were still okay. right around at 180, 190 or less mark, which we felt comfortable with because our 05 had 190 on it. But they were all rusty underneath. I mean, and not rotten, but just rust. Just, yeah, I'm tired of it. So we decided we were gonna up our budget a little bit and look for something a little bit better, for lack of a better term. And actually this had been for sale on Facebook an hour and a half away from us, even before the accident, and I had saw it and I was like, wow, that is slick. So the only reason we hadn't jumped on it because it was at the higher end of what we wanted to spend, and it has tan interior. I hate tan interiors. I will concede that in these vehicles it looks fantastic, and I like the way it looks. I just don't like tan interior. It gets dirty. It's harder to replace panels with black, switches and accessory stuff. It's harder to match stuff, and I'll show you guys a couple. Yeah, hold on. But Mrs. HSW really likes tan. For everything else that this checked, I can live with the tan. It already had a hitch installed on it, which actually is kind of uncommon on these GXs. A really nice hitch. Has a 7-pin connector on it already for our camper. I'll have to wire in a brake controller, but it came with the pigtail so that I can plug that right into the harness, which is great. It has the rear DVD system, which it's 2007 quality, but when you're 8 and 5, that doesn't really matter. It just matters that you have a DVD player in your back seat. So my kiddos are extremely happy about that. This came with the factory nav system, which it works actually. Well, the whole system works, and we're going to do way more on that in the future, talking about upgrading, updating, changing. It just makes it a lot harder to swap in an aftermarket radio, a normal doubled in aftermarket radio. Again, we'll cover that in the future, but I figured, hey, if there's anyone on the YouTubes that can make a hack at that and change and all this stuff and tell you guys about it, it's this guy. So we'll deal with that in the future. This thing has like every bell and whistle on it. It's not a sport edition, so it doesn't have the KDDS, the electronically turning off sway bars, I get, like a disconnected sway bar, which people love or hate. But it's got center diff lock, obviously. It has memory seats, driver's seat, which is got 2 settings. It also memorizes your side mirrors and your steering wheel position. It has factory heated seats. The radio has Bluetooth. It has auxiliary input. The side rear view mirrors are electronically defrosted. Yeah, it has pretty much everything. It has auto on-off wipers. Boy, what else? The digital display on the dash has barometric pressure and time and temperature and altitude and MPGs and average. Yeah, it's got a lot of stuff, but not so much stuff where I'm really concerned with, like, what if this stuff starts breaking? It's not terrifying to that point. I do have to give a big shout out to one of my subscribers, Philip. Thank you. I had kind of helped him with some 4Runner suspension stuff online, and then when I started looking at this, he reached out and was like, hey, we like GXs in our family. We've had a few. If you have any questions, let me know. And I talked to him a ton, like to the point where I was like, I know that I'm getting annoying because I'm annoying myself with how much I'm asking. But probably the biggest reason that I felt comfortable getting one of these is because of Philip. Thank you. Very much appreciated. Learned a ton, and kind of gave me the confidence to dive into one of these and feel comfortable with all the electronic suspension and stuff, which turns out it's not really a big deal. Anyway, moving on. Third row seat. I have half of it removed right now because it kind of blocks your back window, but easy to use. The wood, I need to do a wood delete. I hate wood grain, at least this lighter colored wood grain. It's like an 08 and 09, had a gray and black interior with a dark cherry wood. that I actually would have left. That looked fantastic. So there's that. The V8 is a plus with our towing, with the camper. Kind of looking at maybe going a little bit further, towing the camper next year, if that all works out. My MPGs have been really good so far. I don't know when the last time that calculator was reset, but right now it's at 17.6, and it has been, so I'm ecstatic with that. I'm sure that's gonna go down once this thing gets up in the air and turns into a sail on wheels and gets some 33s, spoiler alert, on it. But yeah, there's that. Let me, I'm gonna grab the camera, we'll point it at it, and talk about a couple other things. All right, as you can see, I've already got the TRD Trail 4Runner wheels on there in the, that were on my 4Runner, wrapped in the Falcon All-Terrains 265, 70, 17 in the P rating. Looks way better, fit on there, no problem. And the suspension is in its neutral position. I could lower it or raise it from here. The front definitely needs to go up in the air. That will be coming. We're going to do that in stages, I think, because that'll be interesting, and we'll learn a lot and still not be too uncost effective. Should we run over here and open the door? Oh, I can talk about the wood grain. So you can see it's got wood grain everywhere. It did have, let's see if we can open the sunroof, get some more light in here. This panel down here around the four-wheel drive shifter was wood grain, and I have vinyl wrapped it in a kind of aluminum, brushed aluminum vinyl. It has actually has a nice texture on it. I'm really happy with that. So I will be pulling more wood panels off and wrapping them. I mean, as you can see, it's in really good condition. Driver's seat does have some wear on it. That's pretty normal. Better than all the 4Runners I've seen. And you can get these seat bottoms online. The covers in leather or vinyl, pretty darn cheap. So, had WeatherTech floor mats in it, front, rear, and cargo area when we bought it. That was a major plus. Don't have to deal with that anymore. I'm a huge fan of the WeatherTechs. Back seat, I would say, you know, same space as the 4Runner. Obviously, we got DVD player up there. And moving around to the back, we've got the side open door, which I kind of have a love-hate relationship with, and tons of cargo space back here. I'm fairly certain there is more cargo space, and not just headroom, more cargo space in this than there was in my 4Runner, which I don't really understand because I feel like it's the exact same length and it's not lacking any other interior room, so not really sure what's going on there. Got the spoiler on the back, which we weren't sure about at first, but the more we looked at them, adds a lot of character to these things. And I wasn't a fan of it on the 4th gen, but I am a fan of it on this. Alright, like I said, a quick, not so quick walk around on kind of the highlights of this, why we got it, price, mileage, condition, records, towing capacity, availability. Over the 4Runner. Was a little disappointed we didn't get a 4Runner, but there's just, after a month of looking, it just was nothing that was really coming close anywhere in the country that was you know, floating our boat, if you will. So I've already done a couple things to this. We'll touch on continually. Kind of, it's gonna be a little bit slower. I'm sorry. The shoulder, I can move it, but I don't have any real strength or longevity for working on stuff, so we'll get into that. I've been slowly putting bikes together, so you'll probably get some bike videos, or maybe I'll do like bike videos as extras. We'll see. Tell me what you guys want to see on the GX as far as mods, or like, hey, I'm curious about this on a GX because I've never been in one. Can you show me? Can you explain stuff? I'll be happy to do that. Those would be great videos. So again, thank you so much for everyone, for all the input, for all the well wishes. Continually, guys have just been, I've been blown away by the fan base, you know, wishing us all the well and prayers and stuff. So we're getting back to normal, slowly but surely. So hope you all had a fantastic Thanksgiving. We did. And we're just wrapping up the weekend here before I have to head back to work. Sad face. Anyway, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications button so it will tell you every Sunday when I've uploaded a video. Give the video a thumbs up for the GX. Head on over to my back catalog if you're like wondering what the heck I'm talking about with the 4Runner stuff. Go check that out and then come back here and you'll understand. You'll know where we're coming from. So also follow the links down below over to Instagram and Facebook. Much more active over there than just once a week. And comments, questions down below. As always, anything more detailed or you want to get a hold of me in private, like really talk about some detailed stuff, people do that all the time. Email me, hawkeyeskunkworks@gmail.com. So, and before everyone asks, no, I don't have an apparel thing yet. Black Friday got a hold of me and Mrs. HSW when we bought a Cricut. And this has been the first of that, so there'll be a lot more vinyl stuff going on. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Until next week, take care. Goodbye.